Hello, can y'all hear? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Sorry about that. Sorry about that technical difficulty, but I'm back. I'm back and I'm ready to go. Um, Congratulations, almost at 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get into the topic. I'm sorry about all of this, guys. So, low self esteem is a subject that I've been wanting to cover for a while, but it's a little bit of a sensitive topic. And it's hard to get into because it requires some vulnerability. So just rock with me for a little bit. I want to start this conversation off with a TikTok I made back in October of 2022. All right, so let me pull that up. Where is it here? TikTok. Share. All right, I think you guys can see my screen right now. So, yes, I created this TikTok in October of 2022. I was pregnant, and this is what I had to say. I want to talk about self esteem. And this is
This
just a
is just a
moment of
moment of
gratitude.
gratitude because
I want to
I
talk
want to
about
talk
self
about
esteem.
self-esteem.
And
And
this is
this
just a
is just a
moment of
moment of
gratitude because
gratitude
I
because
feel
I feel
I
like
feel like my self esteem has increased when I think about how I felt about myself and how I viewed myself back in 2019, for example. I'm really waking up to a lot of stuff about myself. I'm super insecure and self conscious. For a long time, I've neglected outer appearance and beauty related things because I have suffered from being quite overcritical of myself. I just want to say that I'm struggling with my outward appearance. I'm struggling with always 100% being okay with what I see on the camera and not letting that stop me from what I have to say or share with the world. It's much different. Like the inner confidence and personal confidence, all that stuff is really starting to shine through. I really feel good about myself and I feel happy. And I've made certain decisions that I think contribute to me being in this space. But overall, it's just a good feeling. Like, it's a good feeling to be here, especially if you ever been in a space where you do not fuck with yourself heavy. Like, you don't fuck with yourself super heavy at all. And that going through that phase of life, it's annoying, quite frankly. And I don't feel like I'm there. I'm still developing, I'm still growing to a higher place of self love and self acceptance, but I'm not where I was a couple years ago. And I love that. I really love that internally. I guess this is a moment to say, like, if you're still not feeling too great about yourself just yet, it gets better. Like, it gets better, but like I said, you have to make certain decisions. Um, Certain decisions like thinking about how do you want to show up in the world? How do you want to be perceived? How do you want to carry yourself? You really need to think about those things in detail. And I went through a time where I was just thinking and planning about the future version of myself. And I guess today, not I guess, but today I am operating in that person I used to write about. So I'm very happy and cheers to more growth in the future. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to address kind of where I was at with this whole low self esteem thing, and then how I started to get out of having low self esteem, especially through creating content. So, in the first part of that video, I flash back to 2020, which for a lot of people was a difficult time and a time where there was a lot of introspection and self-reflection. And I just had recognized, like I said, that I was really insecure And ultimately, I did not like one, just my appearance at the time. I did not like what I was seeing in the mirror, how I was looking, because a couple years before that, I didn't look like how I was looking in that current moment. So I wasn't feeling that. And then I was just really not liking myself. So let's just be clear. What is the definition of low self esteem? Low self esteem refers to a negative perception of oneself where individuals may have a lack of confidence in their abilities, worth, or value. It often involves feelings of inadequacy, self doubt, and a tendency to compare oneself unfavorably to others. And I think a large part of where I was when I had became aware of the fact that I was dealing with low self-esteem was the negative perception I had of me at that time. I'll leave this on the screen for a little bit just so we're, like I said, clear on the definition. But I did not like myself. Like, to put it simply, I didn't think highly of me. I was being negative towards Nala, towards who I am. Sorry, my heat just came on. But I was being negative towards who I am, and I wasn't my biggest fan or my biggest cheerleader. I was my biggest critic. And like I said in the video that I shared early on, it's a really an annoying phase of life when you don't fuck with yourself, when you don't like yourself. At least it was for me. It wasn't necessarily filled with a lot of sadness, but it was filled with um, just just an internal battle that I was going through, because I have went through periods of my time of my life where I have high self-esteem, or I'm loving who I am. But in this particular time of my life, that wasn't the case. And I was just not feeling good enough. And now I'm gonna keep all of this in the context of content creation. At this time in my life, 2020, I didn't feel like I could show up online because of the fact that I did not like who I was at that time. And it wasn't why I didn't like who myself was, did have a lot to do with my appearance at the time. But this is when I had found productivity, and I had just recognized that I wasn't like taking full advantage of my potential. Maybe let's just say that. Okay. So I was in this negative space with myself, but at the same time, I really wanted to be a YouTuber. I really wanted to create content. And there would be times where I would try and fix myself up the best that I could in that moment, but I never made it to upload a video. And I don't even think a lot had to do, like, the reason I didn't was solely because I didn't like how I looked, but a lot of it had to do with I was doubting myself. You see here that self-esteem, low self-esteem involves self-doubt. I I was doubting my ability to be a YouTuber and be a content creator. And I know a large part of that was comparison. It was comparison. I found YouTube and YouTubers probably no, in 20 the end of 2015 and 2016. So I had about 3-4 years of just watching others create, watching others do YouTube. And because I hadn't made that leap of faith, and because I didn't have my blinders on and wasn't really trying to be in my own lane, I was dealing with comparison. And perhaps you've heard before, comparison is the thief of joy. My what I was doing has stolen my joy. The fact that I was comparing myself to other people stole my joy, and it became a major roadblock for me to get onto YouTube. So if you take a combination of not really liking the way that you look, and you doubt your ability to do something like content creation, it's like, how can anyone expect you to actually upload a video? It was really hard. Okay. I know you guys can hear my daughter. I'm trying to see, do I need to go in there? But yeah, it was just like I couldn't see myself actually uploading to YouTube without getting through this low self-esteem battle. I do want to take a moment. Yeah, guys, I am going to have to take a little bit of an intermission. And oh, no, I don't. No, I don't. We're good. False alarm. I want to take a moment to, I'm just looking at, I'm trying to see if my daughter will calm down. It's really hard to focus if she's crying. But I want to take a moment to talk about what are some of the signs of low self esteem. And actually, I'm going to play a clip from a video where I got inspired for the title of my particular video. So let me pull that up for you guys.
So, some signs of low self esteem include negative self talk and self criticism, constant comparison with others, difficulty accepting compliments, overly concerned about others' opinions, fear of failure leading to avoiding challenges, feeling of unworthiness or not being good enough, difficulty expressing needs or setting boundaries, reluctance to trust one's own judgment, social withdrawal and anxiety in social situations, and persistent feelings of sadness or depression.
Yes, my daughter, I want to talk about that, but my daughter isn't calming down. So I am going to have to take an intermission. If you got to jump off the live, I understand. But, or if you're watching the replay, just bear with me. Um, Let me just pop this on here and I will be right back. Why don't you get you some water or a snack? I'll be right back. Thank you all for your patience with me. It can be really, I can be really thrown off when this type of shit happens, but I'm mom. I guess it comes with it. I need to regroup and gather myself. So I am going to replay the little clip that it comes from a video I saw on this topic that inspired my title for this video. So let's talk about or listen to the signs of low self esteem.
So, some signs of low self esteem include negative self talk and self criticism, constant comparison with others, difficulty accepting compliments, overly concerned about others' opinions, fear of failure leading to avoiding challenges, feeling of unworthiness or not being good enough, difficulty expressing needs or setting boundaries, reluctance to trust one's own judgment, social withdrawal and anxiety in social situations, and persistent feelings of sadness or depression.
Okay, so some of those things that she talked about, especially in the beginning, the comparison and a low view of oneself, all that different type of things, I kind of touched on. But I wonder if you hearing that have experienced some of those signs. I am curious to know. I do see there's some comments here. Um, thank you all is thank you all so much for your encouragement. I receive it. Um, so yeah, all of those things that she mentioned can get in the way of your dream to create content. It it's the truth. It is what it is. And for me, that's what happened. Like my dream to create content was delayed because I had this issue going on with myself that ultimately needed to be solved to some degree in order for me to be the content creator that I am today. So, how did I get to a place where I was able to improve my self esteem? I think before I share that, though, there is something I wanted to talk about. And let me make this bigger for you guys. I found this comment on TikTok. I definitely made decisions based off of poor self esteem. I really thought I was lacking when I'm not. I do want to take a brief moment to talk about how your decision making is impaired when you have low self esteem, and your decisions, specifically in regards to what you decide to post versus what you don't decide to post, the type of content you choose to create versus the type of content you don't choose to create. Recently, I was talking about how it's very difficult in general for your authentic self to show up on camera in the beginning of starting YouTube. But imagine how difficult it is for your authentic self to show up, especially when you're struggling with low self esteem. And your decision to create videos that truly resonate with who you are can be impaired when you're second guessing yourself and you're dealing with self doubt. It can be impaired when you are comparing how your content will perform, or you're comparing how you look in your content to somebody else. I just really think there's a lot of parallels with dealing with low self-esteem and not being able to really truly start your content creation journey. And I don't feel like people share their experience with low self-esteem in regards to content enough. So I know for myself, I was earlier talking about a story where I would record content. I would get myself made up as possible, as good as I could, but I would never actually post it. And now that I've gotten into the habit of creating content here on YouTube, it actually is so simple in the grand scheme of things to create a video and upload it to the platform. But when you're dealing with like these these things, when you're dealing with stuff like this, a negative perception of yourself, lack of confidence in your abilities, your worth, your value, you're literally standing in your own way to create content. And now I think is a really good time to get into how was I able to improve my self-esteem? How was I able to get it a little bit higher and get to this point of, like I said in my little TikTok, that I fuck with myself? Because I remember when I like could look in the mirror or just think to myself like, "Ooh, I like me. I think that I'm great. I think that I'm cool." I just remember returning back to being a cheerleader for myself and returning back to like ultimately liking who I am. Um, I was able to do that. So I'm going to expand on what I said in the TikTok, right? When I was going through this period of recognizing I had low self esteem and everything like that, I did a lot of self reflection and a lot of journaling. And ultimately, if I didn't like who I was and I didn't like what I was seeing in the mirror and I didn't like any of that stuff, okay, so then what do you want, Nala? Like, what do you want to change about yourself? What is it about who you are right now that you're dissatisfied with? These are the types of things I was talking to myself about. Like, what what do you if who you are today doesn't check off all your boxes, then what is the vision that you want of yourself? Because when you're living your life and you ultimately know who you are today is not your full self, it's a it's a constant mind game. Like, it's a constant mind f. Do you like get what I'm saying? Like, you have to live your day-to-day life as this person who isn't even like you for real. Like, you deep down know your true self. And your true self can also be looked at as your higher self. Like, some of us are deep enough within our healing journeys, our self love journeys, whatever the case may be, to have extreme or high awareness of the woman we want to be. And when you're at the beginning of, like, when you first become aware of your higher self, and you're now like, when you first become aware of your higher self, like, let's just say this is your higher self, but then you have who you are currently, that gap can seem so huge. And it's like, I have to get from here to there. That's going to take, you might think that's going to take forever. It's like, how am I supposed to like actually operate as my better self, my higher self, when I'm this person today? You know? And I remember being at that point where it was like, okay, I understand how I'm presenting, how I'm operating, how I'm living in my day to day life. That's not who I truly want to be. Side note, I have to go on a side tangent because the reason I was so like not liking who I was and I was dealing with low self esteem, a large part of that, guys, I was in survival mode. I was in survival mode. Survival mode had me thinking differently about myself because my environment was different. My lifestyle had changed. My lifestyle had to succumb to the amount of money or lack thereof that I had at that time. And I was going through a time phase where it's like, in my very, very early 20s, I went through some things. I struggled, but shit was still solid enough. But at this current point, right before I kind of turned 25, 23, 24, 25, maybe, I was in full blown survival mode. Just, I was trying to do my business thing, but still trying to maintain like getting some type of bag so I could pay my bills. And I couldn't, I had, because I chose the entrepreneurship route so early on, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no idea how much it costs to create a successful business. I was on a thin thread. And there was I felt like even though I could have made it work, right? I felt like I do not have enough money to get my nails done, get my hair done, buy clothes. Oh my gosh. Clothes for me was such a big part of my identity for a long time. For a long time, I was always like, for me, I always use my clothes and my fashion to visually set myself apart from people. Like, I I would purposely dress in a way like you could just look at me and understand you and I are two different people. That was my intention behind dressing in high school, early college, whatever. Like, you gonna know off rip, you and I, we not the same. That type of thing. I was a sneakerhead, and if any of y'all were ever into sneaker culture, the shoes on your feet said a lot about you. There was a time, and I still do till this day, for me, in my opinion, the shoes that someone wears says a lot about them. Not necessarily if they got money or not, no, but it just says a lot about them. So, anyways, I was in a time in my life I couldn't buy no clothes. For real. I couldn't go buy, and I was kind of done with sneaker culture, but I was in a time of life where I could not express myself and show that uniqueness through my outer appearance. I could not afford to do that. I barely could afford to handle the basics and the necessities of life. You think I had money to try and show someone that we're different in my clothing at that time? No. And a lot of the comparing that I was doing at this time, because it's like this is around when people was in my class were graduating, and the flexing the flexing was huge. This is like, guys, I'm talking like 2020 right now. 20, even though it was the pandemic, niggas was, oh, sorry, excuse me. I don't want to get, even though it was the pandemic, people were still flexing. Because not everyone was down bad in the pandemic. Not everyone was down bad. There was people that still had jobs, and people was still getting money, and there was people that had money to buy a lot of fashion shit, designer shit. I'm being honest with you guys. This was a time where like they was really on here flexing their designer clothes, and I couldn't even fathom buying a luxury item. This is a time where I still hadn't broken down and defined what does success actually look like. I was too bogged down with the social media version of success, which is oftentimes wearing designer shit, and you going on trips, and making it look like you have money. Just because you doing shit that looks like you have money doesn't always mean you have money, and doesn't always mean you're successful. But I didn't know that yet. I was still figuring that out for myself. So I was in a place of comparison, because I'm like, I can't do that. So does that mean I'm less than? And and it's crazy, because this had nothing. You could see someone post an outfit pic, and they got designer this, designer that on, but you don't know their values. You don't know shit about them. All you see is they're wearing their designer shit, you know? And it's just like, but regardless, at that time, I wasn't, my mind wasn't mature enough to understand that. And I had to really sit down in my journal and figure out, is this really what success looks like? Or is this how these folks that happen to be up on my page try and like tell me what success looks like? And more specifically, what does success look like for a young person? a young person, a young person that, like, when you see people in your class that had graduated and they're doing their thing, those are people within your proximity. Forget the celebrities and forget the influencers. I don't know them. So that's not much of an effect on me. I'm talking people in your real in your real proximity of your life, people you've seen with your own eyes, or they was in the same areas that you was at. Like, you're seeing them, quote unquote, live this successful life, and when you can't do that or your life doesn't feel successful, it's a mind fuck. At least it was for me. And it negatively impacted my self-esteem, and my self-esteem went kaput. It lowered because I was dealing with comparison and inadequacy. I honestly felt inadequate, and I had to question myself over and over again, but until I recognized, fuck that. That's not what you're seeing. These people wearing their designer clothes and posting on Instagram and showing us all the gravy sides of life, that doesn't mean you're not successful. And I had to do a lot of affirming of myself. So I think I'm starting to transition into, how did I get out of this low self esteem space? Oh, this thing still says BRB, checking on my baby girl. How did I get out of this low self esteem space? Affirmations helped me so much, guys. I had a list about 20 affirmations that I would read to myself every single morning, because what was going on, I was being conditioned. My mind through social media. Like, again, I'm talking about a time period of the pandemic when all we can most of us was online so much, we were taking in a lot of other people's lives. And in that taking in, my mind was being conditioned to think that I'm inadequate, and it was causing me to doubt my abilities to make my dream come true, which in this context of what we're talking about is getting onto YouTube, being a content creator. So I had about 20 affirmations I would say to myself, excuse me. And I did the affirmation so that I could reprogram my mind back into what was true and back into a place of self-love and care for me. I want to take a moment to bring up this little thing right here. I found it in my phone. This is a screenshot from IG from 2016, and it says, "You're so full of yourself." No, I had a lot of insecurities and low self-esteem, which I worked extremely hard to overcome, and now I'm fabulous. So peace. Give him a Pam. Peace. That's from Martin. If you don't know, if you don't know, if you don't know the joke, whatever. I wanted to include this screenshot because let's kind of fast forward. We all have our own journeys, how we get through things. I'll circle back around to how I got over, like, improve my self-esteem. But let's talk about this. When you start fucking with yourself, right? There's a lot of people, or you can kind of receive an energy, or honestly be worried that people are going to start to think you're so full of yourself. What? But you don't know, when I was down bad on myself, not liking myself at even an ounce, and now you're going to tell me I'm full of myself because now I'm exuding this. I don't want to call it like bad bitch energy, because it doesn't even need to be about that. But now I'm exuding my highest self energy. Now I'm walking in that vision, in that version of myself that I recognize existed. And now I don't really, like, no one could tell me nothing. I fuck with myself. I wish I had a better way to put that, guys, but this is just how it was feeling in that moment. And honestly, let me pull something up here that Derek said. Having confidence and believing in yourself is worth more than anything. It's just crazy when when you start having confidence, how uncomfortable that could start making others, or you can even deal with in your own, like, ooh, are people going to feel some type of way because I like myself now? Not even like I'm back to me, like I'm back to who I was and I'm even better, you know? And I wanted to bring this point up within this topic because I think this is something that I'm struggling with a little bit right now. I don't know for sure. I haven't journaled about this. I haven't really even talked about this. So I'm processing this in real time. But with YouTube and me being consistent, I don't feel like anyone thinks that I'm full of myself or anything like that. But it's the thought of like, how do I exist in my confident self, exist in my higher self, and be okay with how that may be perceived by others? YouTube has a lot to do with the perception of others. We have talked about, um, low self esteem is when you have a negative perception of yourself. But like, what happens when you start to have a positive perception of yourself? I don't think I have existed long enough in a positive perception of myself in the eyes of others long enough to really understand like how to be this way, like how to just exist as myself, like the version of her that I always wanted to be, and be okay with other people maybe seeing that. Am I making any sense? Is this clear to anybody? I feel like I'm having a hard time explaining myself. But I just feel like in the context of YouTube, it's best it's best for your content if you exist in your high self-esteem self. It's best if you are confident. And I'm not saying that you have to get, okay, Sapphire, hi. Sapphire says it makes other feel uncomfortable because they enjoyed you at the low frequency, right? In regards to this here, it makes others feel uncomfortable because they enjoyed you at the low frequency. It does. And I think being conscious of the fact that other people will begin to feel uncomfortable now when I'm at my higher frequency has been messing with me a little bit. It has been messing with me a little bit. I think when you are on YouTube, it's best to have a higher self-esteem. I don't think you have to wait until your self-esteem is super high through the roof, but you need to be at least in this place of understanding that you left that time of life. Again, you don't have to fully be away from it, but you are in a much better space mentally. Because like I'm trying to explain to you guys in real time right now, it can feel weird when you're confident now and you don't know how other people are going to receive that. You don't know if other people are going to think like she thinks she's the shit, or she thinks like this thing literally says you're so full of yourself. It's like you want to make sure you come off humble, but I guess I'm in that weird space of like, I want to improve my appearance on here and like showing up for myself, like showing up looking as good as possible. I want to be in this certain, be in my best self type of energy on YouTube. But it's like, I still want to maintain like, I'm like I think it's like humble, like gratefulness for like, I was insecure, but now I don't deal with that on the same level. So I'm going to come with a different kind of energy. And honestly, the energy that I'm going to come with is who I am for real, like truly. I'm no longer bogged down by low self esteem and feeling all these different emotions. I'm no longer dealing with this in the same level before. So my true self is going to shine more. And honestly, I guess the saying is true. Like when you have a bright light, when you shine brightly, it may, it may like, other people may not like that shit. They may not like it. Yes, I'm a Unicorn says the personal benefits of maintaining the confidence are more valuable than the negatives of how others will perceive you. I agree with that. And I just wonder like why would I even care about the negative perceptions that other people may take on because I'm now in a more confident space. You know what, guys? I think it doesn't even have to do with the community or the people on YouTube. I think a lot of this has to do with people in my real life. Let me just see what's being said by Singled Out Well, who's happy to be here on live, and I'm happy we got to do this too. When you have grown to really F with yourself, some people will probably stop talking to you because once you no longer fit in the box they put you in, they don't know what to do with you. Right? Right. And like I just said, I think this has way more to do with people in real life, not even people on the internet. Because honestly, I feel like I have been well received. However, I've shown up on my YouTube channel thus far has been well received because I've done my best to channel who I am, even as I've been trying to let my true self shine. So let's talk about the people in real life. I think YouTube, becoming a content creator and creating content is still like, it's not respected. It's not respected in the same way as a traditional career or traditional 9 to 5 or whatever the case may be. And with me knowing that fact, I've constantly been in this space of like having something to prove type of thing. And again, it's not to people here on YouTube and on the internet, it's to people in my real life and looking for the validation for what I'm doing in terms of creating content, because unfortunately I feel like that validation won't come until I have these major numbers. And I think whether I've said it or not, getting to 1,000 subscribers, getting monetized, it's like when people ask me what do I do, I feel like I could say that with a little bit more because it's like, yeah, I'm making money, even if it's small, whatever the case may be. I'm a monetized creator. I'm no longer doing this, putting my blood, sweat, and tears into this and getting $0 out of it. I'm doing it and I'm making money from it now. So what type of thing? Like I feel like I have to, I have to do that, you know? And it's like, why? But ultimately, facts are just facts. The truth is just the truth. And I can't really sit here and debate like why it is that becoming a YouTuber, wanting to do content creation full time isn't respected oftentimes by people in your real life, because people in your real life usually aren't creating content. Let me Feel free to let me know whether you're watching live or you're on the replay. Like, do you have a lot of folks around you that are on a content creation journey, or is it basically just you? Because for me, I don't have a lot of people in my life that are creating content. Cato TV says sometimes people's confidence online gives others the perception that makes them uncomfortable. That goes back to the clip of self-esteem. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes people's confidence online give others a perception that makes them exactly. Sapphire says, I've learned to not be nice, but be kind. There's a difference. It allows me to show up as my best self. Loving everything about this channel. Thank you. Thank you. some of you guys are saying it's just you that, yeah, in your life, usually, like, I could be wrong, but most of the time I just feel like, especially if you're coming up as a content creator, you're the only one around you doing it. So it's like now you're isolated. Now you're isolated on this journey. And I don't know if you guys deal with the same type of feelings of like, people are not going to respect the fact that I want to create content. And even if you don't want to do it full time, like quit your job and become a content creator, but even if you just want to be able to say, yeah, I make a good amount of money from the content that I create online. Like, even that's, if that's a goal of yours, on the way up to doing that, it can just be so isolating because people around you, if you're not on YouTube, if you don't make content on here, honestly, it's hard to feel like you even get it. And I feel like I relate the most to people that are on a similar content creation journey because they'll get all these ups and downs. And specifically in regards to the topic of tonight of like the low self-esteem thing, like they'll get like, it's a big deal when you break through having low self-esteem and you're able to be your best self online. Let me know. I'm just curious if anyone has any thoughts on that subject of just like they don't get it around you, and it can be hard to feel confident as a content creator, like literally taking on the identity. Have you taken on the full identity of the fact that you're a content creator? Regardless if you make money yet, regardless of the subscribers amount that you have, the views that you get, forget all of that. Have you taken on the identity that you're a content creator? Because I have. And I had to take on that identity so that I could start acting like a content creator. I had to take on that identity so that I could put the actions in place so I can be a successful content creator eventually. And just to land the plane on this particular part of the conversation, I'm becoming more confident in myself as a content creator because I've been doing the work, and I'm seeing progress every single day, every single upload. I'm seeing the progress. But even though I'm feeling more confident in myself, in my real life, the people around me, I don't really feel that I can share this confidence that I'm building or share. Like, I don't talk about my YouTube stuff on Instagram. I'm not even on Instagram right now. I don't I don't be in the beginning, like back in June, I posted like, oh, I'm posting a video, blah, blah, blah. I don't even do that anymore. All the subscribers I have right now came directly from this platform. I don't self promote. And a lot of that just has to do with the perception of people that know me or been around me or knew me as that person who once had low self-esteem and was operating in her low self-esteem ways. And I just don't know how to fully bloom and fully walk into this content creator identity in my real life, because I just feel like people aren't going to get it until I got like I got 100K subscribers or I got this type of money coming in. And it's honestly a messed up place to be in. I want to talk about how has content creation been delivering me from low self-esteem. I feel like with each video that I post, I've gained trust in myself. And I I think all of us extract confidence from different places, you know? And confidence and high self-esteem are two different things. I extract they're two different things, but like I'll pull up the definition one more time. Low self-esteem and confidence are two different things, but as it says here, you may have a lack of confidence in your abilities. And that's what I want to say. Like, doing YouTube has improved my confidence in my abilities. When you're only dreaming about becoming a YouTuber but not doing nothing to actually make that happen, when you're in, and that phase is important. Like, if you're someone that's watching that has, you want this for yourself but haven't really been consistent with it or even started, hey, the phase is important. At least it's on your heart and it's on your mind. But when you're dreaming about this life, but you're not doing nothing about it, it can really, again, mess with your mind, because you're like, hello, you say you want to be a YouTuber. Why aren't you creating content? Why aren't you doing it? There's that voice in your head that's like, what the fuck is going on? Can you get to it? Like, you know that you could do this, right? It wouldn't be on your heart. I heard something today somewhere, like, God doesn't give you an assignment to watch you fail at the assignment. He gives you the assignment, he gives you the dream, however you want to call it. He puts stuff on your heart for a reason. Now, just because you're giving up on it and you're not seeing it through, that doesn't mean God gave up on it and not seeing it through. You're the one in the way. I brought that up to say, like, there's that when you haven't actually started with the content creation and being consistent, all that stuff, there's that voice is like, what's going on, sis? Get to it. You need to start doing it. And when you're dealing with that internal conflict, in a sense, at least for me, I would question my abilities. Like, I know I can do it, but because I haven't actually done it yet, I can't, like, there's no evidence for it. I haven't proven to myself. And the relationship with yourself and keeping your word to yourself is the most important. Forget telling your friend, oh yeah, I'm about to post this YouTube video, telling your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever, your partner, I'm about to post this, and you don't do it. What about the promises and the desire, like the things that you've told yourself you're going to do? When you don't do it, it can just be like, well, am I capable? And do I have the ability to do it? So I was dealing with that. But once I started creating content, even though it wasn't perfect and it wasn't like how I envisioned it, each video that I've posted has put in like a deposit of like, yes, Nala, you can do this. Yes, Nala, you have the ability to be a successful content creator. Even regardless, right now, you only have less than 100 subscribers. Nobody's watching your videos. 3 days pass and you only have 50 views. Because I was putting in the work of getting the video uploaded and onto the platform, each time that I did that, I was proving to myself I am cut out for this content creation life. And I needed to take real action in my dream to be a successful YouTuber in order to get over like another level of self-esteem, like low self-esteem. Just to like, I want to just do a little recap on my opinion on this. I feel like you have to spend time with yourself to get out of like the depths of low self-esteem, like the deep, dark type of parts of it. But once you're okay enough, I do think you have to like start doing stuff that proves to you you are cut out for content creation. Um, yes, I'm a Unicorn says it was helpful for me to hear James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, an amazing book, admit that he was afraid to share and promote his work on Facebook because he was afraid what his friends and family would think. Yeah. I there's definitely a fear of, yeah, I feel like people who aren't afraid to self promote have probably really amazing self-esteem. He was afraid that people would say, oh, he's trying to be a writer. Habits has been a best-selling book year after year for the last 5 or 6 years. I have 2 copies of that book. Of course, that was one of the books that helped me just, again, prove to myself in different ways. But I want to say that to the point of other people would say, oh, he's trying to become a writer. In the context of content creation, like, it can be scary for people to see you becoming the thing that you've told yourself the whole time that you wanted to be. Tell yourself the whole time that you wanted to be. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I'm a unicorn. Let me take a sip of water. I'm actually trying to remember what I was talking about. Okay, so I'm trying to talk about how low self-esteem content creation has helped me my low self-esteem. So yeah, I was saying, like, the more videos I posted, the more I proved to myself that I really can do this YouTube thing. And I needed that. I needed to see that in myself. Content creation, when you edit your videos and you edit and you prepare your content to be seen by others, you spend a lot of time looking at yourself. You spend a lot of time hearing yourself talk. You spend a lot of time with yourself in a way that I think is different from anything else. Like, how many times when you're done with a video that you've edited, how many times do you watch that video over and over and over again before you post it? Because I know for me, I am such a big fan of myself. And it's not even about tooting my own horn or thinking that I'm making the best content in the world. But it's like, once I'm done editing a video, especially a video that it took a while to come out with or to put together, I watch it so much. And it's like, I'm looking back at myself and I'm like, wow, she's really being a content creator. Like, she's being a content creator. Demita says all the time, I love watching myself. Guys, like, can we just, if you don't create content, then you don't get that opportunity to watch yourself. I remember even when I was trying to get myself familiar with TikTok, the little TikToks are shorter. So you can watch a TikTok or a short form video you created so many times. Like, keep watching it over and over again. And I think in those moments of watching myself, I just really start to admire myself as a content creator. And not only admire myself as a content creator, but I just admire myself in general. And again, it's just it's given me a lot of positive cues. Like, I'm great. Like, I'm cool. Like, I'm my own self. I have my ways about me, but I would watch myself, like, like, I get a feeling like I'm looking back at me and, again, just spending time with myself in a way that's just different from anything else, different from journaling, different from just any type of person. It's different from looking in the mirror. It's different from taking a bunch of pictures of yourself when you think you look good and have on a nice outfit. When you create a piece of content, a piece of video content, and you watch it over and over again, you're really getting a chance to see just how great you are. And I've loved that about YouTube and my content creation journey. Geraldi says, when I've learned something new about editing and then I watch it back, I feel so proud of what I've created. Oh my God, I've experienced that so many times. Like, And I think I want to zoom in on the part of like, feel so proud of what I've created. Ultimately, content creation, we're being creative beings. And I know not everyone that taps into this video may be a woman, but I'm a lady. So I got to just speak to this for a little quick minute. Creativity, being a creative being, that's such a beautiful way to connect with one's femininity. And content creation has allowed me to see just how creative I am and how I'm good at it and everything like that. And it's just created these moments of self-love for me because, like this is saying here, like just being proud of what you're creating. Tempura says, yes, love watching myself, but then get scared to let others see, especially those close to me. It's weird. No, I think we've touched on that a little bit. Um, it's for a lot of people, it can be hard to let others in, whether that be people you already know or just like the strangers on the internet. But it definitely is a conflicting moment. Demita says, but before I watch myself, I always think I rambled. Oh my gosh, I've experienced that too. How many of you guys, you create your YouTube video, you're in your filming process and you end the video like, what did I just say? Like, I don't think that was clear at all. And every single time I watch back my video, I'm like, it's clear, it makes sense. Like, I didn't ramble. I made a good, decent video. So I guess what it is like content creation has been affirming. Earlier, I talked about how I increased my self-esteem just in general, largely through affirmations. Yes, Unicorn says affirmations, they work when I was talking about that. Yeah, so I feel like creating content and YouTube in general is this major way to affirm myself and affirm my abilities and affirm who I am in like a positive way. I think not for everyone, maybe content creation isn't always the most positive experience because yes, I've dealt with not wanting to affirm the work I'm putting in because I'm seeing numbers that don't necessarily reflect the work that I'm putting in. So it is weird. It is weird because I get it. Like in the beginning of YouTube, for me at least, the numbers have really messed with me. And I don't think all the time YouTube is this place of like it affirms you positively. But I feel like overall YouTube has been really beneficial to my self-development. And I do think self-development has a lot to do with self-esteem. I think content creation has brought out the best in me and has allowed me to see that the dream that I have of being a successful YouTuber, I am 1000% deserving of having that dream come true. Creating content brings out a side of me that I don't know if I'm able to fully express in the real world. I don't know if that statement is actually true. I found, and maybe this has been the case for you. I found that I'm more of like who I'm just myself even more in the real world because I've had to fight through doing my best to show up authentically online. And now out in public, and I haven't been around that much people, but I get to express myself like without any restrictions because that's what I try and do here on my platform in a way that makes sense. So I'm curious to know is if anyone watching, whether it's live or on the replay, like, do you think content creation has helped you improve having low self-esteem? I want to take a minute to talk about something that I touched on in that TikTok I made back in October of 2022. I've touched on it a little bit, but just the importance of doing the work to get out of having low self esteem. And how I mentioned, like, I had to make certain decisions. I had to make certain decisions. So earlier I brought this post, this little comment up of I definitely made decisions based off of poor self esteem. I really thought I was lacking when I'm not. I had to make new decisions for myself. Um, this here, I know it looks kind of like wonky. Like, what is this blue beverage? It's called moon tea. It's called moon tea. It has ceremonial tea, almond milk, vanilla, maple vanilla syrup, I think, wild berries, and it's made with love. You can only get this here in Atlanta, Georgia. But yes, just really quick, the decisions I had to, that was the question, but the decisions I had to make was really deciding. I'll keep it in the context of YouTube, but like, how do I want to show up online? And even speaking to like the looks, I want to speak to the looks and then the internal part. I wanted to have a vision in my mind of like me as a content creator, like, if I don't like how I look right now, this was me back then, then what is it that I want to look like when I post on my YouTube channel? Again, guys, I have been watching YouTube for many years before I actually built up the courage to start making my own content. And the looks of, it's not even like their physical looks of everything, but like like I told you, I was in survival mode. I didn't have a nice look. I I love my house like where I live now. Like, but back then, guys, the shit wasn't pretty. My surroundings were not pretty. I didn't feel like, because I was watching a lot of vloggers, like you show your, when you vlog or when you're on YouTube, depending on the type of content. I thought I wanted to be a vlogger. I changed my mind, but you like, I felt like my surroundings wasn't looking good. Not again, not only the looks, it was just like the aesthetics. I think aesthetics is a really good word for this. I didn't like my current aesthetic. And I wanted to be clear on, okay, what is the aesthetic that you're going for then? Like, what is the vibe that you're trying to give off? What are the looks that you're trying to give off? Like, physically, your surroundings, like, what is it? I made decisions on what do I want that to feel and look like in a sense. And at least if it wasn't in my power to bring into fruition today, having the idea of what I wanted, how I wanted to look in my content, or how I wanted my shit in my content to look in my mind, gave me a sense of ease. And put my mind at ease enough to help me like see that even if it doesn't look like that right now, I can get to it eventually. Do you guys know who Chelsea Janae is? Do you know who Chelsea Janae is. She is a YouTuber. Chelsea Janae is someone that when I came across her content, she lived in a place, like in an apartment that wasn't aesthetic. She was like one of the first content creators I saw on this platform that was bold enough to create content even though her life wasn't aesthetic, even though everything wasn't like put together and looked good, you know? And when I found her, I was inspired. Like that, me seeing her made me actually upload content because at the time where I had moved into a much better looking place, but I still didn't have the clothes. I still didn't have the hair. I still didn't know how to do makeup. I still blah, blah, blah. I had all these different things that I felt like needed to be in place in terms of aesthetics. And it still wasn't this, it still wasn't that. But I saw Chelsea, and you live in an apartment in Jacksonville it wasn't a luxury apartment in Buckhead. That's a place in Atlanta, Georgia, if you don't know, like a upscale place. Like she was like, this is me right now. This is my life right now. And I don't give a fuck. I'm making this vlog and I'm uploading it. And I took that same energy and I'm like, who cares? Who cares? I'm going to just, however the shit is now, just go with it and start. And please, if you haven't seen Chelsea Janae's content, not the content recently, because she glowed up. Like she moved out of Jacksonville, Florida. She moved to Atlanta and she got on her shit, and it was all through YouTube. All through YouTube. So, what is my point? My point right now is like content creation, especially after finding Chelsea, it put me in a position where things don't have to be aesthetic for me to create content and begin my content journey. And I just want to like put that point out there for the person that is still dealing with that. Sine says, yes, I was someone who battles with low self-esteem issues my whole childhood until adulthood, and YouTube has helped me a lot since I started my content creation journey. Yes. Yes, I'm a unicorn says creating content definitely helped me with some esteem issues and my imposter syndrome. Once you show up enough times, you are who you say you are. Like, F it, I'm here. Yes. I'm happy that I'm not alone and that's the exact energy that Chelsea brought. Like, F it, like, fuck it, I'm here regardless of what it looks like. And by her not focusing on the aesthetics at that time, her personality got to be at the center of her content. I'm going to repeat that again because this is a gem that might go over your head, but you need to really pay close attention to what I'm saying. Because Chelsea Janae did not focus on the aesthetics of her content, her personality got to be the star of the show. I was watching something earlier today and it was saying how Gen Z is so obsessed with aesthetics. Gen Z is so obsessed with this type of aesthetic trend and this type of aesthetics trend. I agree with that. And aesthetics can get in the way of creating content. But if you just, even me, like my earlier videos on here, not my little vlogs that are on here, but when I started to make my sit down content, my desk and everything was faced the other way. And I only had my brick wall in the back because I got to a point where it was like, it doesn't, like, the surroundings and everything, it can't matter so much to where you're going to stop yourself from not creating content. the looks and everything can't matter in the beginning to where you're not going to be able to actually create the content. And it's about like just starting the engine and then later on refining. And then if you want to focus more on your look and your aesthetic, do that, because I think it's beneficial. I literally made a video talking about why you should leverage your appearance as a new YouTuber, but it doesn't mean everything. It doesn't mean everything. I think those that are successful on YouTube know how to really put their personality into it every video that they make, and they don't rely on a certain look of their life or their lifestyle to be at the center of their content. Those things are just supporting roles. Like they truly are the main character, and how everything comes together looks is secondary. It's like it's cool if it's there, it's helpful, but they know that that shouldn't be the basis and the foundation of their content creation. Please look up Chelsea if you haven't already and just get to know her a little bit. I'm sure she will inspire you on your YouTube journey. She has kind of said that she's actually always been a confident person. And I think her confidence shines through her content. Like this girl, she's who she is. And I think me seeing that I had to, because there's other YouTubers on here. I won't necessarily name names, but there's other YouTubers on here where it's like you can watch them and feel like I don't give that off. Like it can sometimes feel unattainable. There's certain YouTubers on here who show off a life that feels unattainable sometimes or is highly aspirational. And you can get into a space, because I've been there before, where it's like, ooh, my life doesn't look like that, so I can't create content. Y'all. Um, I feel like I covered so many different areas in this video. I want to give anyone a chance to say any final thoughts if you have to. I know there's a bit of a delay between the comments and when I see them. But I would say my closing thought on this topic of the ability for content creation to deliver someone from their low self-esteem issues is if you trust the process of YouTube. Take a moment. Again, if you're a beginner, kind of started your journey, not really consistent, like where are you at with it? Are you already are you already maybe further along in your content creation journey, but maybe currently you're dealing with some low self-esteem things? Because I feel like at every step of the way, like for us that's still trying to make it, we have no idea some of the things we may possibly experience that could threaten our self-esteem. So I acknowledge that. But wherever you may be, I truly believe in trusting the process of the fact that I think someone said it before. Once you show up enough times, you are who you say you are. And if we need a refresher of the definition of low self-esteem, refers to a negative perception of oneself where individuals may have a lack of confidence in their abilities, worth, or value, often involves feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and a tendency to compare oneself unfavorably to others. All of that is crushed. All of that can be dismantled. All of that can simply go away once you show up enough times and prove to yourself that there's no need to have a negative perception of yourself. There's absolutely no need. You are, what was my other little picture I had? What does it say? You're fabulous. You're fabulous. Like showing up enough times will prove to you that you are fabulous, and essentially that means you are worthy of being in this YouTuber space, in this content creation space, regardless of, because we talked about how people in your real life that don't create content, they don't even get it, but it's like, whatever, F it. I'm here and I'm doing my thing and I'm in my own lane. So thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful night or morning, afternoon, week or weekend, whatever it is. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Hold on, if you want to stay for a second. Bye, Demita says, one more subscriber. Maybe she subscribed to me. I wonder if that means I have what my subscriber count is. I think I'm about to start a new live. All right, so bye-bye.